Hello, this is going to be a +20 top key. I originally recorded audio when I did the key, but it turns out I turned my game sound too high and I didn't want you guys to be struggling to hear me. So I just flashed all my conduits and gear and stuff, which you can pause if you want to look at that. But basically, I'm playing Slick Ice here in this key with Mordretha, basically the single target combination. Really quick, I'm placing down Soul Trap, which is the engineering thing. It backfired, a little unfortunate. And the reason I was doing that was, you know how there's a guy who comes out and stuns you? Well, if you place your little soul trap thing, then he'll run into the soul trap instead of hitting you, and then you won't get stunned. So I was trying to prevent myself from getting stunned when I ramped. And then I didn't get stunned anyway, and yeah. I just lost like 6 seconds from that, which is fun. Anyway, so Slick Ice, this is 3 targets, or over 3 targets, so I'm just casting Frostbolt and ignoring Ice Lance. I overrid a Flurry there on accident. It's a lot of haste. I'm gonna start using Ice Lances because it's only 2 targets sitting together. And I'm just doing a lot of DPS. We didn't even drag the Bullhorn in, the Raging Bullhorn in, so it was only 3 target cleave with for a little bit, so. One of the things I was hoping to get from this dungeon was, a ruby or something, but the thing I thought I was gonna get was just, I'm trying to hit 3 KIO so I can get the 278 conduits, so yeah, that's why I'm doing theater. That actually, I did also need to do this specifically because I wanted to make a Slick Ice key. As you can see, it's going kind of well. Start, we're in the first boss with 25k. Definitely could have done more, right? Stunned myself at the start. We should have cleaved down the last 2 instead of leaving the last one just alive alone for such a long time. But this is a pug, so makes sense for it to be a little uncoordinated and definitely not going to be the best version of the DPS I can get. This guy wanted to go to Kultharok. He's doing his belt invis thing, which is very nice. It's something tanks do so they don't take a lot of damage when they group mobs up. And then he just pulls like a madman. I didn't think I was going to get to be able to use my Deathborn here, but I did end up just using it because, well, for one, there's an in that pack, and I don't know, that's a lot of mobs. Just Ice Lance a little bit to finish him off. Getting to use the invis for the movement speed increase. As you can see, I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, you can look at the DPS meters. I'm just pumping all the time. And one of the other tops I tried to do this week, because generally I failed them. It's a hard key to do this week. I ended up doing like 20k DPS on this thing, just because it's Slick Ice, so. The DPS meters don't look realistic right now because we were still in combat with the AoE pull when we went into this one. Yeah, I was checking to see if the MM Hunter has 4-set. He does not. Not too big of a surprise. Probably very little people actually have 4-set still, comparatively. So, these are 2 things. I'm a Spell Steal their shield. It's a decent chunk of survivability for the hard pulls, like for the next pull. and I'm not going to use anything because these things are just going to die really fast, especially with an MM Hunter. Right? But yeah, if you haven't tried out the Slick Ice Necrolord build, I'd recommend you try it out. It's definitely something that's going to become a viable, or very viable, if not go-to build in like Plaguefall and ToP. And I've heard good things about it in Mist from some people as well, too. So, though Mist is a bit of an iffy dungeon, it's very dependent on route, I would say. I said this in my last video, but I will probably end up making some type of like YouTube video on just how crazy double legendaries are. Maybe this weekend, maybe early next week, because I do have that 61% uptime on, I'm gonna block the Necrotic Volley because it wasn't gonna get interrupted. Yeah, I have the 61% uptime on Combust in one of my dungeon fights I did the other day with some friends. I did 30k on Ingra with freezing winds. Did like 40k DPS on the first boss of ToP and one of the other things. So there's a lot of footage there, a lot of potential. I guess I should probably play some arcane before I do that then, so I have like some arcane bones to throw. Maybe make one of you guys actually want to play the spec. So he's not pulling that, which is good for his mental, but you know, bad for my Icy Veins cooldown. And that's because those shackled souls are probably the most dangerous mob in, not the most dangerous mob in a fortified key, but certainly very dangerous to AoE pull in this dungeon. This dungeon has some of the most dangerous fortified mobs in it. Those being the Jagged Arbalist and just the Shackled Souls. In addition to their normal bind soul cast, they also do this like soul touch thing, which you can't interrupt. And that also can just randomly go on a bunch of people and just one-shot them. So and here, I re-ice veins because both our DPS died, so I can probably get back. Luckily, he also goes to pull these things, which one gives me 2 extra shields, and also so I can tank that if I want to. Didn't. Also just means I can guarantee have my ice veins back up. And then I'm not sure if I'm fairly certain I do decide to Deathborn here because I can carry it over into the next pack. Or, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm learning as you're learning, apparently. I think he pulls the other two. Yeah, so I'm at Deathborn here then. I already knew from, the other tops that I tried to do this week that if I Icy Veins the next pack, it would be up by the end of the pack. So if I Icy Veins here, I should be fine to have it up for the boss regardless. The MM Hunter's bursting, but we've been in combat for so long that it looks like he's doing no DPS. So I may go early because I have mirrors, so I'm not worried about these mobs hitting me. Plus I have 3 of the bone shields. And then I'm going to start pumping. We do have a shaman who can decurse this ability. I'm going to Ice Lance, even though this is 3 targets, because I'm worried about getting my Icy Veins duration back. You can see I did get it back, so we're looking good there. It's always a good idea to have your decurse macro to a mouse over macro so you can decurse other people. The unfortunate thing is that it means you have to like move your hand all the way over to your bar to decurse. Yeah, you can do like modifiers where you like press shift and then that button, it would decurse yourself, but yeah. My decurse button is currently on my F5 because I recently changed to be a troll for berserking. And X was where I put my decurse button before when I was Nightborn and had a completely useless racial. But now that I have to actually press it, I want it on an easy keybind. Oh shit, is that guy an Anvil Gaming? Oh my god, he is. I did not notice that. That's hilarious. I thought his name looked familiar. Huh, funny. Anyway, so here I get lucky Death Fathom proc. I'm gonna hold Lust until after this draw soul, you know, for the 30% damage buff that the people are gonna get. You know, luckily I was one of them, so that's nice. Since we did kill I should get another Deathborn out this fight, so I'm gonna try and line up a second Icy Veins for it as well. It's a bit bad of my orb. I should wait until I use my 2 Ice Lances. But this was my first key of the day, so. Alright, re-Icy Veins with the Deathborn. You don't need to always re-Icy Veins with the Deathborn. I'm just doing it because I want to make sure that it will be back. I'm going to block this so I can keep ramping as Deathborn inside Lust a little bit longer. Luckily, you know, my Icy Veins is ending here. The boss is about to die. It looks like the hunter got like a relatively common interaction you get on this boss, which is where you can soak both draw souls in one pool, and after you soak them, the pool goes away. So if someone, you know, ice blocks like I ice blocked, or you know, 2 people soak in one pool, the pool from the last draw soul is going to stay there. But the important thing is it's going to disappear right before the cast ends, which means you're kind of baited. And if you choose the wrong one, as in one that didn't just spawn, it will just disappear out from under you and you'll die because you can't pick up your soul. And that's what happened to the hunter there. Which I now realize, like in my original recording for this, I did say that, like, you know, I said that to myself while I was recording this. And I did not tell this person, and I guess they were confused, so maybe I should have. Yeah. Oh, voice crack. Okay. I don't know if you noticed this, but I am the only Necrolord in this group, and I've done one important thing, which is I've forgotten to do the Necrolord, you know, Covenant thing in this dungeon. I'm gonna realize it now because I'll see the one over there. Luckily, it's actually not that bad of a strategy to not pick up the one in Kultharok's room. I think typically people don't pick up the one in Sav's room instead. And what you do here, I'm in a Deathborn in Rune, you don't want to do that. I'm just doing it because it came off cooldown and I needed to do it before died. If would have lived to the end of my rune, I probably would have delayed my Deathborn. But yeah, generally people do like to like save a one of the banners for the last boss. That's a pretty viable option. So it's not too bad. I did end up getting it for the last boss. The kind of unfortunate thing about is it does desync your racials from your 3 minutes. So you can see I have my troll racial up. I didn't use it because it came up quite late in my Deathborn. But yeah. I thought it was going to pop out a second sooner, so I was a little greedy on the Icy Veins there. And then the Rogue and the Hunter are just going to start humping, and those guys are just going to start dying pretty fast. It's very common on Fort weeks for everyone to like skip this next pack, just because, like I mentioned before, ToP has some of the most dangerous fortified mobs, being the Arbalists and the Shackled Souls. So I know we're gonna skip the next pack, so I don't really need to worry too much about anything to do with them. Icy Veins is pretty much back off cooldown, so we're solid. Bit unfortunate on the conference room there. If you are shrouding here, you'll have to be careful because you can't walk through mobs when you shroud, so you have to walk through one of the divots on the side. And the rogue can also do what he did there, which is distract him. I didn't know this boss had, or this thing had true sight. So yeah, we're gonna target the relic, make sure I get it back. Fortunately, the person, did the unbreakable guard inside my rune. So I re-rune a little early. But yeah. With the ricocheting blade, you can line it on these stairs. Not get hit, save your healer some trouble. Person is insistent to line up their guard with where I am standing. It's a little annoying. The mob, I mean. I could have Deathborn here and probably would have been fine. I did want it up on pole for Zav though. Generally I'd recommend you just use it on cooldown, but yeah. Also Icy Veins here because for the cooldown reduction, and the boss is still quite high HP, so I'm just gonna block this one since I'm in Icy Veins. I'm trying to get back up. And, using one of my blocks is not really that big of a deal as a Frost Mage. You don't want to sit on them forever, What are you holding them for in a Fortified Inspiring Grievous dungeon? Typically your healer can heal through anything that's not this, right? But I just line the next one. Help them out a little bit. Fleshcraft right here for the mastery from Merileth. Not that big, but it's bigger for Necrolord than it is for anything else. You can already say it. It's just your icicles do more damage for whatever reason. And the biggest reason that this DPS title, or the title for this video, isn't 17k DPS in the top, it's I get chosen for the first phase. This guy has double time or whatever, double shot up. Unfortunate for him. He didn't know that Frost Mage better than MM Hunter, so. You can see I'm doing 20k DPS, even though I already went down into that other phase. So, yeah. We're not going to re-ice veins here because he's just quite low. Luckily, we don't get picked for this next one, which is good. We have a lot of damage. Since I got the Death's Fathom proc, I decided not Frozen Orb and just, flurry with these Ice Lances. And it worked out. He just dies. Not sure why I said it worked out, there wasn't really a scenario where that would go bad, but yeah. I honestly forgot we hadn't done Gorechop Wing yet. You probably hadn't as well, or had as well. Luckily, the tank came prepared. He's having the Hunter trap the inspired mob, so this isn't a complete shit show like it normally is. Here, Mr. Ice Lancing, just because the 3-target cleave's not very consistent with these people jumping around, and I want my Ice Veins back up. I just spoke a lot into a mute mic. Anyway, yeah, a lot of what Frost does in keys, like when you're using your Icy Veins, those timings are based on if you think you're going to have your Icy Veins back up for the next pack. And that's all it is like the intuition of knowing that you're going to have little downtime on the next pack with Icy Veins or no downtime on it at all. Because staying on Icy Veins will cause you to lose a lot of DPS. So you never want to do that if you can avoid it. Withering Discharge went off, so I blocked it. Again, kind of a bad example because I used Deathborn and Rune, but I'm just trying to get it off. Here I should have pulled for the tank, and I did not. My Ice Veins runs out, but that's alright. Yeah, make sure to focus this guy just in case he leaps really far away and casts Withering Discharge. I can interrupt it, you know, help prevent a wipe. One of the interesting things that I've kind of noticed about Death Fathom is that it seems to proc on hit, like most of Frost's other things. Like all Frost spells are calculated on hit, which means like their damage, basically, when it reaches the target is when it's calculated. So if you, for instance, use a Frostbolt Flurry into casting Icy Veins after you use your Frostbolt Flurry, all that damage is going to be calculated as if you had Rune down when you cast it. And also, you're going to get the, you know, cooldown on your Icy Veins, even though you cast those spells before Icy Veins, as long as, you know, you use Icy Veins before it hits the boss. And it seems that way for Death's Fathom as too, which is actually quite good because it saves you like the GCD of time. Normally with something like Firestorm for fire, if you've ever played that, where, you know, it procs off of hot streak generation and not consumption, you'll waste GCD. Or might be, yeah, no, I mean that one's generation, which doesn't really mean you wasted GCD since you're generally generating hot streak with fire blast. But yeah, anyway, so we're just buying our time here till Death's Fathom comes up, or Deathborn, Jesus. I'm gonna hold my rune until I blink over here, because otherwise I'd be forced to reposition. Boss is at 15% HP, so I'm not re-Icy Veinsing. I probably should have re-Icy Veinsed around like 25% HP, so that I could have not had this downtime. That's been unfortunate, so I just block. Though the downtime I have is kind of used, is mostly because of I use Alter Time pretty poorly to avoid the tenderizing smashes this fight. So. And now, you know, I've realized over the course of the dungeon, I'm like, oh, you know, I forgot to grab that banner, so now I'm gonna go back and grab it before we do the final boss. The invisibility movement speed thing really helping me out here. Mage mobility is quite good for burst, but it's pretty bad sustained. You can see I just kind of run out of movement after a while. I'm just running. It's a bit unfortunate being Necrolord because you lose that extra, you know, movement that you get from playing Venthyr or Necrolord. Or, sorry, Knife, I mean. I'm just gonna Deathborn these ads because if we kill on the boss, I'll get another use out of it this dungeon. Here I'm not bothered by Icy Veinsing because I know I'm probably just gonna pull the boss for the tank. we're not really in a rough situation at all right now. Our healer's not struggling, and I have a lot of damage. So, yeah. Definitely a fair situation. And now I pull. Here I might swap the target so kill it. And somehow we kill Woe, even though I sent 2 Ice Lances into so this is pretty unfortunate. It is going to cost me 1 Deathborn this key, so I'm not actually going to get a Deathborn off on the last boss here. So I'm still doing a lot of DPS though, even without Deathborn, so we'll take it. Though one of the things that that is kind of misleading is that a lot of this DPS isn't to the boss, because we're still at the starting point of the boss, so a lot of it is from my passive cleave that I got on the relics at the start of the pull, right? I basically get a free Comet Storm on 4 targets at the start of every boss pull, because it's hitting all 3 of the relics and the boss, so. To get into this key, I did whisper the leader, which was the hunter. I told him, just invite me and I'll carry boss damage. So, yeah. I was needing one of the tops. I was doing anything to get in, whispering people. Though, to be honest, Woe isn't that bad on this boss. It's quite good. I guess we already moved past the point, but there's a point where you just resisted that suck-in mechanic incredibly easily because you had Woe. So with the Prop Paladin and a MM Hunter, it's no surprise those ads got instantly one-shotted. They've literally never done anything this entire expansion, so. Alright, well. Good key. No Ruby. Unfortunate. You're kidding. You're fucking kidding me. It left me at 20. What? You? Oh my god. Oh my god. That's annoying. Jesus Christ. Anyway, here's the DPS breakdown if you're curious. Thanks for watching.